Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Во Вселенной существует порядок.
So there's an order in this universe.
Если мы видим какой-то хаос,
If we see some chaos,
наш расстраивается.
so our mind gets disappointed, gets upset. We are not designed for chaos, to experience chaos.
Мы видим, как если сложить эти материальные элементы,
So if we put all these material elements all together, see some proportions and structure, so we get really excited and we see some order. Same thing in this material world, it's got to be structured so that our mind functions well. So the person is designed to live in beauty. It could be just a simple way of life, not supposed to be connected with richness. It's about rasa. So Krishna is very beautiful, and his creation is also very beautiful. And it reflects the real beauty, although this material world is quite deceitful. But the beauty is real, and that's the power in it. It's very attractive. That's Krishna's energy. So this beauty is Krishna himself. So how do we deal with this beauty? It's a tricky question. There's a lust that appears when we create this beauty or we see it. We get attached to this beauty, to this creation, to this material world. So how do we separate this beauty from Maya, from the illusion? How do we see the reality through this reflection of Maya? So which way we're supposed to look at? It's a complex system. Everything is in space and time, all these historical processes. It's so hard to figure all these things out. So where is this illusion? What's the way that it is reflected? It says in Shastras that we cannot find the answer in the illusion itself, but there's an internal energy located inside the illusion. There's like the reflection that comes out from the inside. So by separating matter from spirit, we will be able to figure out what is what. Otherwise, we get attached to this material creation and the sensual gratification. So let's read one text from Srimad Bhagavatam, verse number 7. That's what we've been reading, chapter 15. So the verse 28. Let me read Sanskrit version first, and then the translation. Shatvarga samyamaikanta sarvanyama chodana tatanta yadino yogan avehiyu shramavaha. Shramavaha is the last word. It's a waste of time and effort. You see, sometimes it happens in life that we do something in vain. Shrama avaha. In the very end, it turns out that it's all been done in vain. We've spent all our lives, so much effort, but it's all in vain. That's what it says here. So by performing religious rituals, following instructions, and then practicing some yoga, all of these are designed to control your mind and senses. But even if a person has been able to control his mind and senses, is not concentrated, is not focused on the Supreme Lord, all his efforts were just in vain. So he stays to be with nothing. Remember this shloka from Srimad Bhagavatam. It is extremely important, and it's connected with this verse as well. So Krishna says that everything that is not directly connected to me is an illusion. So religious instructions and charities and all these activities, they're not directly connected with me. So this is just one of the methods of purification. But you also have to remember Shreyas, the final destination, something that brings peace and harmony, culture in the society, piousness, and to live better, having religion and following the basic principles. So this is a civilized society in this case, but it's not the pinnacle of perfection. It might be just a waste of time. You just happen to be in a beautiful illusion, because it's not directly connected to the Supreme Lord. So what is directly connected to Krishna? Shantarasa, Dasyarasa, Sakyarasa, Vatsalya and Madhurya Rasa. So in the very introduction to Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada starts out with these topics. In the very introduction, he says that you have to have personal relationships with the Lord. We are His particles. We are directly connected to Him, related to Him. That's what we all are supposed to be striving at. So leave all the rituals and instructions and religions and just surrender to me. So don't you worry about the mistakes, because I will protect you myself personally. So why do you refer to some other processes to pray for yourself if I can do myself? Your activity will be pure, I promise you. So I means the Supreme Personality of God, the essence of the whole religion and austerities, the essence of all the processes, the source of all the energies. So there's an opinion, Srila Prabhupada says, that a person can achieve the highest purpose of life and realize the Supreme Lord by just practicing yoga or following some religious rituals according to the instructions of the Vedas. Even if he hasn't got devotees to his spiritual teacher. You see, now there's a problem. There's no disciplic succession. Of course, people communicate with interesting people and they gain some knowledge, some skills. But we got to understand who the spiritual master is. The spiritual master is not supposed to know the chapters of Shastras. He has to be engaged in devotional service. He might not know mathematics or algebra, literature. He might not be so knowledgeable in some other sciences, just like Prabhupada says. I'm not a scientist, but I can challenge any scientist, because I serve to Krishna and Krishna knows everything. Krishna gives me this wisdom, this intelligence. See, people accept it. They like all these religious rituals and supporting traditions, the domestic or spiritual traditions. You see, we all have these national traditions that we follow, like New Year's Day celebration. And sometimes people, they even very sincere. Sometimes they even repent in their mistakes. So they follow this repentance procedure. They do, they try, as if they have everything. Pay attention, looking through all of these things. You know, there are good things, of course, that we have, all of us. We have it. Not everything is so bad. There is some religion. We haven't forgotten about the prophets yet. There are some followers, of course, through the traditions and confessions. But there's something that is lacking. Pay attention. Almost all of the religious and non-religious people are connected by one disadvantage, by one weakness. They all serve to themselves. They all do it for themselves. Even religion. Well, they may not know the supreme wish or desire of the Lord, and we think that if we serve Him, so He will manage good life for us, will be prosperous, will be rich, good families, good disciples, ancestors, followers. So we all think that that's the purpose of all these rituals and religion. So it should help our life. But the supreme will of the Lord, He says, leave all that behind and just surrender unto me. So use your intelligence and sentence. Bow to me. Be my devotee. So these 5 rasas. So just dance with me. Prabhupada used to say about that. You'll be dancing. So you're engaged in performing all those rituals and religious yogas and austerities, but who are you going to dance with? With Maya? Krishna says, dance with me. You see, no one even knows about that. Because we don't know if the Lord a personality, if He's a personality, what does it do? What does it look like? A person cannot even understand that God might have some feelings, some senses. There are some personal features. That means that He can accept and He can answer. So there are some senses of perception and senses to answer. And until we all engage in the relationships with the personality, we will never be able to understand who this person is. From this point of view, we see, and even though people might be very intelligent, but there are no relationships with God. The personal relationships between nations are so complex, so complicated. So the only relationship that we need is the devotional service. That's what it says here. So, but the one who practices yoga, he should reach the meditation on the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A person engaged in yoga reaches the perfection only when he, in his meditation, sees the Supreme Personality of God. So he can use different methods to control your mind and senses. But by just controlling your senses will not take you to God. But who believes in his spiritual master, you will not only control your mind, but you will also reach the Supreme Lord. It is very important that a person has a spiritual master whose senses are connected with the senses of God. Of course, there's a succession, but in the end, Krishna pierces through all this disciplic succession because He's everywhere. He's present there. This is parampara. It's not like Krishna is there and parampara is somewhere far from Him. No, parampara, this is the direct presence of God in the disciplic succession chain. And also in the words of your spiritual master, in the scriptures, Guru Sadhu Shastra. Remember, Guru Parampara is responsible for that. And in this way, by serving the senses of my spiritual master, we serve to Krishna. Because his senses are connected. So we gotta find a person connected with God and then receive some knowledge from him through his senses, through his intelligence. How? That's the method. See, in the West, people would say, I am this, I am that, I practice this yoga, I practice that yoga. But no one knows. anything. So if you really want to know, you got to express your reverence, pranipad, dandavat. So this is my true position before God. I'm in dandavat in my consciousness. So pariprashna means I will be asking. I will not be speaking, I'll be asking. Sincerely asking with the desire to know the truth. And this desire motivates the spiritual master to touch upon our senses. Divya Gyan, not just Gyan. Divya Gyan, like the transcendental senses. And then sevaya, after that I'll be serving with the awoken senses. It will not be just a punishment. This will be the happiness of the devotional service. So he can give us this transcendental knowledge that motivates person for sacrifice, not for himself, but for God. So that all Guru Parampara will believe in your heart. So there's a quote here. Only those great souls that believe in God and the spiritual master, so they get the essence of the Vedic knowledge. Besides, in Shastras it says, just by simply serving this spiritual leader, a person will get over the ocean of ignorance and will get back home. So recently we've seen a show, a spectacle. Do you remember the name of that woman that was feeding the Lord Rama with fruits? Shabari, right? Her name was Shabari. It was a great show, theatrical show. So she used to serve to her guru, but then her guru just left her by giving her some instructions. So she was supposed to stay there and serve to God, and he will come after you. So just wait for him. So dozens of years she spent in the forest. She would pick up forest fruits for the God, and she'd been waiting for God all this time. And then he came together with Lakshman. He appeared there. So she was almost blind already. But she understood who had come, because her guru had promised her that the Krishna would come. Ramachandra has come. So she took all these fruits and she wanted to offer him that. She knew that some of these fruits, they were quite sour or bitter. So what she did, with her teethless mouth, she would just taste every fruit, and if it was sour, she would just put it away. If it was sweet, she would give it to Ramachandra. So Lakshman was totally shocked. He couldn't even imagine that the Lord could actually do that, violating all the rules and instructions. By just serving spiritual master, a person will get over the ocean of ignorance and will get back home. So when a person serves to his guru, this is just amazing. Because, as I have heard, the Supreme Lord, he's got other feelings, other senses. So we cannot directly serve him in this material body. We got different senses, not the body. Senses are spiritual, body is not.
Он не знает страданий
So he doesn't know sufferings,
материальных. На него не
material
влияет
sufferings.
гуны.
He's not influenced by the gunas.
Он в Бхагавад-гите говорит Арджуне об этом, что мудрый
And
не
in
будет
Bhagavad
скорбеть,
Gita,
живущий
he says to
живущий
Arjuna
умрет,
about that.
живущий родится.
So wise
Он
people, they will
улыбается,
not be
говорит,
mourning.
совершенно безмятежный. Но Арджуна плачет и скорбит.
But Arjuna is crying,
У него есть чувство
and he's very
сострадания.
upset because he's got some
Вот в
compassion
той материальной ситуации
for
Арджуна
that
чувствует ее.
material situation. He feels
А Кришна
this
нет,
compassion, but Krishna
не
doesn't.
чувствует этого. Чувствует по-другому. Он
He
всегда в
feels it
блаженстве находится.
in quite another way.
На что
He's always
беспокоиться
blissful.
о душе? Душа не может
So why would I
убить.
worry about a
Убитый, он говорит.
soul? It could not be killed.
И он от Арджуне говорит. Сильно не беспокойся.
He says that
Душа
to
не может
Arjuna.
убить.
So don't you worry about that too much.
Наджая темрията вакадачина, она нерожденная.
The soul is unborn. That's why it's immortal.
Но он это в блаженстве говорит, а
But he
Арджуна
says that in
прекращает
bliss,
скорбеть и
and
говорит,
Arjuna
почему же ты меня
cannot stop
призываешь к такому
mourning,
совершению братоубийственному,
asking
где
Krishna, why do
мне
you
придется поднимать руку на
make
своего
me
учителя или
kill
деда?
my master, my spiritual
Ты мог бы
master,
убить
my
Сандипани,
teacher,
моего
my
своего духовного учителя?
grandfather,
И ты призываешь меня это делать?
and you
У Арджуна есть
make
вот
me
это
do
чувство.
that? So Arjuna has this feeling.
И благодаря этому чувству,
And thanks to that feeling,
именно этому состраданию Арджуна
to
было
this
сказано в
Arjuna's
Бхагавад-гите.
compassion, Bhagavad Gita has been retold to all the people.
Нараяна не говорит с обычным человеком,
So Narayana does not talk to an ordinary person.
не разговаривает.
He never does
Но люди
that.
говорят, Бог молчит.
No, people say
Я
that,
обращаюсь, он молчит.
God keeps quiet. I call up to him, but
Я
he
что-то
keeps
придумал в
quiet.
ответ, но он молчит. Он не слышит меня.
He does not hear me. That's what
Но
people say.
с Арджуной он говорит.
But with Arjuna, he is speaking.
Через сострадание Арджуны
Through
он дает ему
Arjuna's
это знание,
compassion,
которое
he's given him
полезно
this
всем людям.
knowledge that is helpful to all the people.
Проявляется это трансцендентное знание.
And this transcendental knowledge is
Парампара была
expressed,
утрачена, я
manifested
снова
there.
возвещаю,
So in the
снова
parampara,
восстанавливаю это
had
знание
been
через
lost.
себя Арджуна.
now Krishna is
Значит, он посылает
is
духовного
recovering all this
учителя, у
knowledge
кого
with
есть
help of Arjuna.
сострадание. Какого у Кришны нет такого сострадания, у него другое сострадание.
So Krishna has another compassion, another kind of compassion.
Он желает вызволить всех
He
живых
wishes
существ, старого дхарму
to free
переполнено.
all the living beings.
Вот его сострадание. Все
That's his
оставить здесь.
compassion.
Ну, какое же
Leave
сострадание?
everything
Я
here.
привязан.
So what
Мне
kind of
больно.
compassion is that? I'm
Представляете,
attached.
мне
It's
больно умирать,
painful
мне
for me
больно
to leave everything
расставаться.
behind,
Кришна, я не хочу.
to get separated from something. I don't want to do that.
Но Кришна говорит
But
Арджуне,
Krishna says to Arjuna,
своему другу,
she is
который это
very good
понимает, и
friend
он
that
счастлив
understands
слышать
everything,
это.
and he's happy to hear
И
that.
он может это счастье передать
So he
людям,
can pass
обычным
this
людям.
knowledge to people, ordinary people.
Итак, Бог выглядит сурово.
So
С технической
God
зрения.
looks
Ты
severe.
хочешь, чтобы тут Арджуна сражался с родственниками,
So he
хочешь,
wants
чтобы оставить
Arjuna to
мир,
fight.
свою семью, свои привязанности. И если мы не испытываем эти
And if we
пробужденную любовь или чувства духовные, мы не
don't
можем понять, почему
feel
речь идет, почему так жестко,
What he feels, we can't understand.
так жестоко.
Why is it so?
Вот это сострадание Бога, которое люди здесь не могут
Why
понять,
it's so
он
rude?
любит нас или не любит нас.
That's why we can't understand whether God loves us.
И чтобы передать знания,
So, and in
он
order to
посылает духовного
pass
учителя.
this knowledge, he sends down spiritual
И
master.
сам по себе Кришна в форме параматмы, он
And Krishna by
присутствует в сердце
himself,
каждого
in the shape
уже.
of Paramatma, he is
Но он
present in the
беспристрастен,
heart of
у него
everybody.
нет таких чувств.
But he's not biased. He doesn't have
Нет
all these
чувств
feelings.
любви. Ну, источник чувств, но у него таких
He's
чувств
the
нет.
source of these feelings, but
Поэтому, если
he
человек
doesn't have
хочет
these senses.
делать зло, в конце
So
концов
if
он
a person
санкционирует.
wants to do some
Получит реакцию.
bad things, so he will get this reaction. He's allowed to do that, but he gets reaction.
После хороших вещей плохие вещи будешь делать.
You
Тоже
want
можешь.
to do something
Можешь
good?
пойти в
Okay,
ад,
do
можешь
it.
пойти в рай.
Then you can even do something bad. Okay, you can.
Сколько путей?
So Krishna allows us to do that. You can go either to
Но
paradise or
гуру,
hell,
как представитель своей
heaven or
души,
hell,
не будет
but
так
Guru,
действовать.
as the representative
Посланный
of the
не
highest
будет, он
soul,
по-другому, он скажет,
being
негодяй
sent down
ученику.
by Krishna, he will say, Rascal, how can you do
Иначе ты в
that?
ад пойдешь. Я тебя
Otherwise, you'll go to
запрещаю.
hell. I forbid you
Кришна
to
не
do
будет
that.
запрещать, гуру запрещает.
Krishna will not forbid that, but Guru will.
То есть необходимо человеческое присутствие.
So human's
что мы-
presence is necessary That's because we are
Мы ищем
humans.
гуру среди людей.
We are looking for gurus among people.
Некоторые ищут гуру где-то в сердце, где-то в
Some of us are
воображении.
looking for guru in the hearts, in our
Но
imagination,
это не направит нашу свободу выбора.
but it will not direct our
Мы остаемся зависимы,
freedom of choice. We're still dependent,
скованы материальными
constricted
обстоятельствами.
by the material circumstances.
Поэтому, чтобы освободить душу, необходимо
So in
преемство,
order to liberate our soul, we
которое
need to have
начинается
succession
с незапамятных времен.
that starts
Но
out
время и пространство
a long
практически
time
не
ago.
существует, как для нас.
But space and
Для
time do
него
not even
то, что
exist
было
for
с
Krishna.
Брамой в начале творения и сейчас одно и то же время.
So when Brahma started
Не
creating
то,
this
что было
universe
вокруг
and
6500
the
лет
time
назад,
that we are
сегодня
living in now, it's the same thing for Krishna.
Гита не изменилась.
So Gita hasn't been changed since it was
Он
written.
пребывает в вечности.
Krishna is
Совершенно видит
eternal.
всё по-другому.
He sees everything
Сознание Кришны.
quite differently. This is Krishna's consciousness.
Прабхупада говорит, обретите хоть немножко это
Prabhupada
сознание.
says, get at least
Попытайтесь
a
посмотреть
tiny
глазами
bit of
Бога,
this consciousness.
через разум Бога, через наставление
Try to
Бога,
look through God's
на свою жизнь,
intelligence at your
соответствуйте
life.
её с этими правилами,
So
предписаниями,
measure it
для
accordingly
себя, и вы увидите,
to these rules and
так я же живу, как животное.
instructions, and then you'll understand that you live as an
Глаза
animal.
открываются, сознание Кришны появляется.
And then your eyes will
И
start
Кришна
opening in.
говорит, «Аваджанати мамутха манушам тану
You
ашита».
become Krishna
Духов
consciousness.
много, мудх,
So there are a lot of
которые меня видят материально,
silly people that see me as a
отождествляют со
material
своим телом, со своими чувствами, своим разумом, своими желаниями.
living creature.
Меня они
They
терзают
associate me with their
всем сердцем,
desires.
говорит, как демоны, требуют
They
материального,
think
требуют
exactly as
материального, а Кришна
demons.
говорит,
They want
оставь,
something
оставь,
material.
оставь,
And I
я
say,
хочу,
leave
я
everything
хочу,
behind.
оставь, всё оставь, а я хочу. Это терзают свою душу.
And we say,
понимаете,
no, I
не по воле
want, I
Бога
can't.
действуют. Обращаясь к Богу, действуют не по воле Бога.
So even if we ask God for help, we
Мир
still
сложный
act
становится очень.
not according to His will. The world has become a
Поэтому
very difficult
нам
place,
необходимо
complicated place.
понять, что ведические писания,
So we gotta understand that Vedic
эманации
scriptures,
Бхагавата,
Bhagavad Gita,
Верховного Господа, нужно обратить на это серьезное внимание.
and other scriptures. So we have to
Нужно очень
get
внимательно читать книги Шрилы
God's
Прабхупады,
attention.
причем все.
We need to read Srila Prabhupada's books, all of them.
Это квинтэссенция, надо знать
So
твердо.
Bhagavad Gita is the quintessential.
Вы увидите какая-то квинтэссенция, какой-то концентрат.
So you'll be able to see
Одну шлогу поместите
how much information is concentrated there.
своих отношений с Богом. Этой шлоги достаточно, чтобы вернуться.
So if you take just one shlok and you scrutinize it,
Бхагавад-гита, но это нужно
it'll be enough for you
Srimad Bhagavatam,
to start
там мы везде узнаем о
creating
том же самом,
relationships with God.
пронизывается, как жемчужина, да, жемчужная.
Remember, everything is pierced by God.
Все пронизывается Бхагавад-гитой.
A pearl is connected
Это самбанда гьяна.
by a thread.
Мы тверды
So just like we are
в
connected to
своем
God.
служении.
It's called Sambhagya Jnana.
Обретем такие знания. Это Бхагавад-гита.
So we gotta get this knowledge.
Прабхупада читал Бхагавад-гиту каждый день.
So Prabhupada will read Bhagavad Gita every
Так
day.
что мы уже достигли какого-то вкуса к играм Кришны, забываем Бхагавад-гиту. Будьте осторожны.
It's not like we already have some relationship with Krishna and we forget to read Bhagavad Gita. The illusion is
Оно может
always
быть ложный образ
near.
Бога.
It
Да,
might create a false image of Lord, even though,
как и
even if you know
история
a God.
с Ямуначарьей, он
So remember this story with the
какое-то время
Yamunacharya?
он забыл.
So for some time, he has forgotten about Krishna.
Он обрел царство в юные годы.
So he's gotten
И увлекся
kingdom when
политикой.
he was young.
Оказался очень талантливым политиком и сильным.
So he turned out to be very
Даже в
talented,
юные годы он
politician.
одержал такие победы.
even when he was a young person.
Но он был великим преданным.
He was
получил
quite successful,
знания
but he was a great devotee.
по наследству от
So he
своих
got all this
предков.
knowledge
У него был дед.
as a heritage from his ancestors.
Он был совершенным. Он,
So
говорят,
he
что
had
достиг
a
освобождения
great grandfather
в конце жизни.
that had
Надхамуни
reached
звали.
liberation.
Был великий.
His name was
ситх.
Nathamuni.
Всеми
He
ситхами
was a
владел.
great Sikh. He had all these
Мистической
siddhas,
йогой
even mystical
владел. И
yoga.
когда он стал царствовать, он забыл Кришну.
So when he started ruling, he forgot
А
about
дед
Krishna.
сокрушался.
But
Преемственность.
his grandfather, he was so
Достойный был,
frustrated.
но вот случилось с ним несчастье.
he was praying his
Сейчас он пребывает в иллюзии.
grandchild will come back to Krishna.
Думает, что он царь.
His grandchild was totally
У него
illusioned.
есть власть, деньги, подданные.
He thought that, okay, I have everything,
Он
people,
призвал
power.
своего ученика, одного
money.
саньяси.
So he called up to one of his
И перед уходом
sannyasis, one of
попросил,
his
я не могу уйти
disciples,
спокойно.
this
И заставил
grandfather.
внука.
Then this
Прерывает
grandfather
клиента.
says that I cannot leave
Я
this
даю тебе
body
наставление, просьбу
without
вернуть
understanding
его
that
к
my
полному служению.
grandson is doing everything okay. So I'm asking you to bring him back
И саньяси пошел в
to the
столицу.
service to God. So this sannyasi,
И думал, как же пройти к царю.
he went to the
Какая
capital,
непростая задача.
and then he was thinking, how do I
Как же это
get
осуществить?
to the
Как
king?
оторвать его от царства и
How do I do that? How do
свободы
I
от власти?
get him out of
Так
this
погруженный он
kingdom?
сейчас очень
He's so
успешно.
immersed
М.
in ruling the kingdom.
Собрал какой-то редкий шаг в лесу.
So he has
Принес на
collected
кухню
some very
царя,
rare shak in the forest.
вручил поварам и
He brought it
сказал,
to the kitchen
я саньяси, я очень
of the kingdom.
забочусь о вашем
Then he said, I'm
царе.
sannyasi,
Вот
I
этот
am
шаг,
taking care of your
он увеличит гуну благости и
king,
обострит его разум.
and the shak
Готовьте, пожалуйста, вот этот
will
шаг для него. Повара
develop
выразили почтение,
his
благодарность садху за такую заботу. И этот шаг стали каждый день предлагать, и каждый день
His highest
саньяси
goodness.
приносил пучок этого шага.
And then every day this sannyasi would bring
И царь стал есть этот шаг и
a little
привязался к
bunch
нему.
of this
Действительно,
shak,
это
and this king, he
очень
started
необычно.
eating this shak every day. He got
В
attached to
какой-то
it.
день, через месяц,
And then one day,
садху не
1 month
пришел,
later, Sadhu did not
не
come.
передал шаг.
He didn't give any
Царь сел
shak.
за стол,
So
сразу
the king
спросил, а где шаг?
took a seat at the table, and then
Каждый
he
день был
asked, where is
прекрасный шаг, а
shak?
где сегодня?
I used to have it every day. Where is it
Дело в
today?
том, что этот шаг редкий, мы не знаем,
So the matter is that this shak is very rare. And this Sadhu, he would just bring it from some place we don't know.
А он говорит, что это важно для царя.
And the Sadhu said that
Это
it's very important for the
увеличивает
king.
саттва-гуну, обостряет разум.
It actually increases sattva guna
Для вас, о вас заботился.
and sharpens your
Как его
intelligence.
зовут,
He was
откуда?
taking care
Не
of you.
представился.
So what is the name of this sannyasi? Okay, if this sannyasi
Так он
comes
попал к
back,
этому начальнику.
so bring him to him. So that's how this sannyasi got
Представляете, просад?
to the king.
Для правительства. Особо чистая пища
So prepare
для
prasadam
элитной,
for the
для
government,
элитного общества.
for the elite society,
И качество описываете, даете такие вот вещи. Если вы
and
готовите
describe
на
the
высшем
qualities.
уровне,
So
это
if you
сработает.
cook on the highest level, it will work.
Просад должны попробовать все.
Prasad should be tasted by everybody.
И садху пригласили.
And this Sadhu,
Он снова
he
появился с пучком
was
шака,
invited.
пригласили личного
When he
царя, и царь поинтересовался, кто он и почему он так
came
лично
up
о нем
again.
заботится. И тогда он сказал,
So this
«Твой
king
дед
asked this sannyasi, why are you taking care of me? And then
прислал
he said,
меня,
my
потому что
grandfather
оставил для тебя
has sent me
очень
here
большое наследство».
because he had left you
Я должен тебе
great
передать.
heritage, and I should pass it to you.
Но ему он сказал, хорошо, как раз, кстати,
But the king said, okay,
начинаются военные действия,
right,
новые,
quite in time.
нужны деньги,
So we're in the middle of
давай,
war,
давай, это наследство.
we need
богатство».
some money, so give me this heritage.
Нет, говорит, это не так.
No, no, sannyasi said, it's not
Мы
exactly
должны
so.
пойти с тобой в сокровенное место.
So I have to take you to some sacred place where its treasure
Причем
is
должен
located,
быть один без охраны.
and you gotta be alone, with no guard.
Хорошо.
Okay, said the king.
Ему начали пошел с ним.
Yamunachari,
Много дней не
he took him, he took the king somewhere, and
Но
they
каждый
would
раз,
travel
где
for several days.
останавливались под деревом на ночлег,
And every time they would
садху читал
have a
Бхагавад-гиту
halt
со слезами
under
на
a
глазах.
tree, and Sadhu would read Bhagavad
Читал
Gita
Бхагавад-гиту снова и снова,
with tears on his
снова и
eyes,
снова. А ему начальник
again and again, again and again.
раньше был преданным Кришне.
But Yamunachari, he used to be Krishna's devotee back in a time.
И на третий или четвертый
And on
день,
the third, the
после
fourth day,
шлоки, он
by
вспомнил
listening
Кришну,
to the shlokas, he has recalled Krishna.
стал плакать.
He started crying.
Подумал, я напрасно прожил все эти годы.
Then he thought to
Впал
himself,
в иллюзию.
I had wasted all these
Так
years.
он вернулся к преданному служению.
I had gotten into a great illusion. That's how he got back to the devotional service.
Достаточно просто Бхагавад-гиты, Прабхупада говорит.
Prabhupada says
Но,
Bhagavad Gita is
может,
enough.
достаточно, но это нужно глубоко понять.
It might be enough, but you gotta understand
И для
it
этого
deeply.
Прабхупада говорит.
So that's what
Бхагавад-гита — это
Prabhupada says.
настольная книга,
Bhagavad
которой мы
Gita is a
должны
table book
пользоваться как руководством к
that you have
жизни,
to read
к образу жизни.
every day as an
Это
instruction
путь
for your life.
познания Бхагавад-гиты.
This is the path of understanding
Севая,
Bhagavad
должна
Gita.
быть сева.
Sevaya. We gotta
Бхагавад-гите нужно
have seva.
служить, то есть
You have to serve
следовать
to
этим
Bhagavad Gita.
наставлениям.
So you have to
Прабхупада
research
комментирует так
these
Бхагавад-гиту,
instructions.
как она есть, чтобы каждый человек
You have to
мог
study these
практиковать
instructions.
то, что написано там.
So in Bhagavad Gita,
Оказывается, все просто.
Prabhupada
Хотя там
has given us
даются
Bhagavad
различные
Gita so
юридические
that
пути,
every
как говорится,
person could
йога-шастра. Да, оказывается,
use
все
it.
просто. В комментарии Прабхупады все проясняется.
in
Надо просто
the
служить
purport of
Кришне.
Bhagavad Gita, everything becomes clear. You just have to serve to Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
You just have to chant.
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Предлагать ему пищу.
You have to offer food to him.
Целая миссия образовалась, смотрите,
That's a whole mission. Prabhupada's movement, in order to spread the holy name, we have to refer to so many different methods, so many preachers. There's a great variety, opens up before our eyes. It becomes really interesting. But we need to understand the order of how to do it attractively. From chaos, we will not be able to do anything attractive. From the chaos of our thoughts, of speculations, of relationships, chaotic relationships, if we don't cooperate, we will not build an architecture. We're going to have this platform. So in order to create something from various elements, totally separated elements, even the god of sun, Vivasvan, he knows Vedas. So we see the result. We see his creation. Then he passed this knowledge to Manu. And then through Ikshvaku, it went down to people from the spiritual world, all this transcendental knowledge. Then he repeated it to Uddhava. Almost the same thing. Some other secrets that he hadn't opened to even Arjuna. Very subtle secrets. So Prabhupada wanted to comment on Bhagavad Gita once again. So he wanted to release another issue with some other commentaries. But it's good that he has met it. He has managed to give us the answers of Bhagavad Gita, surrendering to Krishna. And this is all organically organized in Bhagavad Gita. So we have to study and apply it. And the devotees eat only prasadam. It is extremely important for us because we're very conditioned from our birth. We even deviate a little bit from all these things. Maya will take our wisdom away. We'll forget about Krishna. It's like, Maya tells us, you remember about Krishna, right? So you can do whatever you want. No, you smoke, so not a big deal. You drunk? No, I'm not drunk. You almost haven't drunk anything. And it seems to me that I do remember about Krishna. It seems to me that I'm a religious person. And I think that I'm a good man under the influence of Maya. But once we remember who Krishna is, we start crying, understand that they wasted so much time. So we gotta connect ourselves with Krishna, so that my consciousness does not let me go. So that's how this Guru Parampara works. So Guru does not let me go. So I'm so ashamed to commit sins even when no one sees it. Because Krishna is in my heart. I remember Shiksha and the instructions of my spiritual master. And I'm ashamed. It's painful. Painful for me. That's how this real connection emerges. A few more lines before we finish. So the final destination of yoga to establish the connection with the Lord. If a person hasn't reached it yet, so he had wasted all of his time practicing yoga. So professional activity and fruits of this activity do not help a person to develop spiritually. Quite on the contrary, it confuses him. Well, the attachments in this material world. Same with the Vedic rituals. For the people following these rituals but not being attached to Krishna. So that's the 15th chapter, 7. So we've already read 29 verses. So there are about 80 of them. So now you may ask your questions.
Сейчас вопросы, пожалуйста. Здесь.
So please, your questions. So thank you very much for this great lecture, for such a revelation, and for the instructions. So I've been working for the Institute of Applied Technologies. Yeah, it's quite interesting to understand what the Mataji is asking. So she says that I'm starting to wake up now. And I've been through a lot of pain and worries. It seems like I'm just starting my spiritual practice, but I've been practicing it for 6 years already. So I'm inviting everybody to our Institute of Applied Technologies to practice spiritual knowledge together. So thank you very much for the class. So today I've said that it's very important to have good relationships with your spiritual master. So how do we keep it? Because through the years sometimes we lose this connection. So how do we keep it? Is there any secret? So the secret is pranipat, dandavat. So every year we perform dandavat. When I chose my spiritual master for the second time, remember my first one had left ISKCON. It was quite a drama in my life. So I asked my second spiritual master for shelter. I came to his darshan and he said, so probably it's too soon for you to be initiated by me, even though I already had been initiated 2 times. And he said, let me give you this pranama mantra first. We have to get to know each other. And then I was so sensible actually. And I started feeling so bad because I was feeling as though I was being pushed away, and then I again had to repeat, chant pranama mantra. So my ego was quite vulnerable. So he took a look at me. He said, come back tomorrow for the Mangalarti, and then you will give me a vow that I am your teacher, I'm your guru, and you are my disciple. And I said, yes, okay, I will come. So it's good, that's a good news. My guru accepts me. So then I went there the next morning, but he wasn't there. So I thought to myself, yeah, he must have forgotten about me and already started having these false ego problems in my head. But then someone told me, he's there, he's in his room. Go there, you'll find him there. So talk to him again. So I went to his room, and there were so many people, so many of his disciples. Someone was eating, someone was singing, dancing, someone was just... So Guru was taking a shower, someone was just standing next to the door to the bathroom asking Guru some questions. And I was looking at all of that. It was so unusual. Another family, relationships are different. So it was also strict before, but now with this spiritual master, freedom, everything was so different. So then he comes out wearing gamcha. So he put on tilaka and then he saw himself. He said, "I'm sorry, I can't come." So he came up to the window. The window was facing the chakra, Krishna Balarama's temple. So he said, "Come here. Look, you see the chakras?" And then he looked at me. Said, "Do you see?" I said, "Yeah." Chakra is no different from a deity. So promise me that you are my disciple before this chakra. I said, "I promise that I'll be your disciple." And he said, "I promise that I'll be a guru." Then Dandavat. So this was my first instruction given by him. So I just took a bow. So this is my guru. And all my worries, they just disappeared. So always pay reverence to your spiritual master. Express reverence. That's how you stay in touch with your guru. So what does it mean, the impeccable devotedness to your spiritual master? So Srila Prabhupada, he received his instructions to preach when he was quite young. He was studying something. His children were still little. So Narada Kunji was like 1937. So what was the year when Bhaktivedanta Saraswati ordered Prabhupada to preach? So when was it? So Prabhupada was giving these instructions, and if Prabhupada had some money, start publishing books. It was 1935. So then Prabhupada started preaching only when he was 70, but he did that. So it's really impeccable, because when it gets to your heart, unflinching faith, you just wait until the moment when you can start doing it. But if you feel like all these principles are not so easy for you, but you have this decisiveness, sooner or later, you will reach it. This is an unflinching decisiveness and purposefulness. Even if you don't manage something, don't manage to do something, if you think you're bad devotee or bad servant, I'm not even a devotee, but I am a servant. This is called an unflinching decision. So this is your decisiveness, internal energy. So that's what Krishna says. Even if a devotee does some bad things, but he still continues serving to his guru, he's still protected by God. Any other questions? Important ones. So this side has some questions. That side doesn't. A few questions from this side. So how much are we responsible for our thoughts? So we try to perform the instructions of our spiritual teacher, but sometimes these thoughts are just flying in our heads. and it's so hard to control them. So how much are we responsible for these thoughts?
Нет. Нет. Пока человек не совершит поступок
So until a person
ответственности, нет.
does something, there's no responsibility for your thoughts in Kali Yuga age. We're not responsible for our thoughts in Kali Yuga, but still you have to be very careful because our thoughts can influence our actions. Or in your speech, bad thoughts can join into your speech, like critics or offenses. But if you just ignore these bad thoughts in your head, you'll be saved, you'll survive. Just ignore these bad thoughts. Just learn to be silent every time you have these bad thoughts in your head.
Как видеть гуру?
So another question.
Не гуру, гуру-татву вы тогда будете видеть.
So how do we see Guru Tattva in Vedas? You'll be able to see Guru Tattva in Vedas.
Некая такая эссенция, сущность,
So this is the
истина,
essence,
гуру-татва. Она
the
повсюду,
truth. It's everywhere,
везде, во всем.
in
Сам
everything.
Кришна, он и есть
It's the
изначальный
Krishna
гуру.
himself, because he is
Будете видеть
the
гуру-татву.
initial Guru. You'll be able to see Guru
Если вы
Tattva.
имеете посвящение, если вы следуете
If you have an
наставлениям гуру,
initiation,
вы
you follow the
научитесь
instructions of your
гуру-татву
Guru.
отовсюду.
So
Особенно
try to see Guru
преданным
Tattva
людям.
everywhere, especially in
Проявление гуру-татвы
other
означает, что это
devotees.
проявление
So Guru
трансцендентного
Tattva's
знания.
manifestation means the
Будете
manifestation of the
получать наставления
transcendental
с разных
knowledge.
источников.
So you'll be instructed by
Будете
different
чувствовать
sources.
подтверждение тому, что услышали от своего духовного учителя.
So you'll be
Это
feeling
гуру-татва.
the confirmation of what you have
Гуру
heard from your
это не
Guru.
одно число, не
Guru
единственное
is
число.
not singular.
Вы входите через дикша гуру, через дикшу в гуру-татву,
So you
в
go,
область, в пространство,
you
в
following
океан знаний.
Diksha Guru,
И обязательно, согласно
and
Ньяе,
then
если
to
вы
the
знаете истину, уже услышали
Guru
эту
Tattva
истину, она будет
and
подтверждена из разных источников гуру-татвы.
Parampara.
Это есть гуру-татва. Это вы будете видеть.
So
Прабхупада
Guru
сказал
Tattva
этому
confirms
ученику, когда
everything.
я
You'll be able
уйду,
to see it.
ты
So
можешь
Prabhupada
быть
said, when I leave
ты
this
будь
body,
внимателен, можешь
so be
получить мои
very
наставления откуда
attentive.
угодно.
You'll be able to get
Не
my
пишет
instructions
посылка.
from any
Прабхупада,
place.
как вот это слово понять?
Prabhupada says, how do you understand that? From any
Собака
place.
меня залает, я должен
So
что-то
when a
понять.
dog barks at me,
Он
do I
сказал,
have to understand something? Yes, he says, it may come from any place.
Но это хороший уровень самостоятельности.
But this is a good independent
Когда
level.
гуру Дикша уходит,
When Guru and Diksha
говорится, что
leaves,
Параматма берет
it is said
ответственность за
that
этого человека.
Paramatma
лично.
takes care of
И
this
наставления
person
могут прийти откуда угодно, а мы сможем услышать.
personally. And the instructions may come from any
То,
place,
что
and we'll
люди
be able to
пытаются
hear
делать
them.
без гуру, услышать
So what
Бога,
people are trying to do
невозможно,
without Guru, to hear God is
что
impossible.
они не связаны с гуру.
Because they're not connected to Guru Tattva.
Бог не только Творец, Он гуру.
God is
Всё
not
вот
just
это
the creator,
вот
He's
именно
Guru.
вот эту ипостась люди не видят.
So they not see this
Они презирают
aspect
всякие
of
наставления
God,
в свой адрес.
and they
И как
not
раз наоборот.
not
отвергают
accept any instructions
И
given
именно
to
через
them.
служение гуру,
They deny
Дикша
them.
гуру, через это
But only through
смиренное
serving to
служение,
Guru, to
Пранипат,
Diksha Guru,
Дандават и так
to
далее,
this humble service,
а мы входим в область гуру татвы, начинаем
we
слышать
enter
Бога.
Guru Tattva's area and we start
То есть
hearing
гуру
God.
приведет вас к Богу.
So Guru will take you to God.
Спасибо большое за лекцию. У меня такой вопрос, хотел узнать. Вот вы говорите то, что надо вкушать только просад, ну, и избегать стараться, ну, и вообще полностью
So you're saying that we'll have to eat only prasadam
перестать употреблять какие-то другие, ну, не предложенные
and
пищу.
not to eat
И вопрос
anything else.
такой, вот чай и вода,
So tea and water.
вот, ну, у меня есть опыт, что я вообще практически никогда не видел, чтобы кто-то предлагал чай, да, или воду.
So I've never seen before anyone
По факту мы со
offering
своими,
water or
внутри
tea,
в основном
but by fact,
пьем
we
воду,
consist
которая
of water and we drink water.
Нет, например, если я пью воду, я всегда вспоминаю Кришну.
If I
обязательно.
drink water, I always think
Как
of
можете
Krishna.
что-то принимать внутрь,
How do I
не в сознании?
take anything inside without Krishna's consciousness?
Нет, это нужно прекратить.
No, you gotta stop it.
Если вы даже пьете воду, вы должны
Even if you
вспомнить
drink
Кришну,
water, you
вкус
gotta
воды уже
remember about
достаточно,
Krishna,
и Шри Вишну в уме произнести
because
Шри
he's in
Вишну.
taste
Вспомнить Кришну обязательно нужно. Если вы чай готовите,
of
то
the
уже
water.
какой-то
If you
напиток, уже
if you
какое-то
cook
блюдо.
tea, that's already a dish.
Тоже предлагаете Кришне.
You also offer it to Krishna.
Вы должны есть только любовь.
You're only supposed to eat
Иначе вот эти маленькие отклонения, они
Because the small deviations, they will be manifested.
Мы должны быть в чем-то сейчас очень принципиальны.
So we gotta be very
Как преданный фанатично
principle.
смотрит на этикетки, там продукты, там есть какие-то
Sometimes devotees, they look at all these
элементы.
tags,
Правильный принцип, он настроение правильное.
the list of all the nutrients, ingredients.
Будьте принципиальны, вы
That's the right state of
станьте
mind.
сильнее духовно.
So be very strict here, and you'll become stronger spiritually. So I see one hand. So yesterday after the initiation, I have this question.
Я тоже не принял еще инициацию, но я вообще не хочу дышать вообще дымом. И когда я даю слово, я прохожу где-то, где курят, интоксикация принимаю, я не нарушаю свое слово при этом.
Да, мы все пойдем в ад, похоже.
So the
Нормальный кто-то вдруг дым.
question is about being initiated and then breaking his vows.
Эти регулирующие
So these
принципы,
regulative
они
principles,
связаны
they're all
непосредственно
connected directly,
не столько с элементами этих
not to the
веществ, которые нельзя принимать,
elements of the
а
matters that we're not
суть этого
supposed to
в свободе выбора.
take, to eat, to drink.
Мы отвергаем, не выбираем это.
Essence is in the freedom of choice.
Ну, остаешься чистым, если такое что-то случается.
So even if sometimes accidentally it happens, you stay pure, that's fine. Just don't stay for a long time.
Это не наш выбор.
Sometimes we get to some,
Вот что самое важное.
you know, unpure places. But this is not our choice.
В
That's the
материальном мире много
point.
скверны, не
Sometimes it just happens.
Так, у нас, наверное, последний вопрос, да? Пожалуйста.
У меня такой вопрос. Когда вы приезжали в концерт, в этом году меня старшие преданные попросили заботиться о жилых преданных. И я обзвонил, когда у меня...
So I was in charge of taking care of old devotees.
И я когда ему позвонил, сказал, что вы приехали, такое знаменательное событие, доставим, привезем.
So I called one of them and invited him to some holiday.
Разговор остался. Он как бы...
I said that I would take him to the holiday and then take him back. He said that he was supposed to take some medicines, so he couldn't go. So I felt like his faith was weak, even though he was a devotee, but he was an old devotee. So how does Krishna take care of such old devotees whose faith is weak already because of the body?
Болезни могут очень сильно подавить.
The otherness and diseases, they can suppress a person very much.
Старости вы поймете.
So if you
Это не
make
простая
it
вещь.
until being an old man, you will understand it.
Джара,
Or it's not an easy thing at all.
Даршанам говорит, это зло. Кришна в Гите говорит, рождение, старость, болезни и смерть.
So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that you are born,
Поэтому, если
you grow,
недостаточно такой духовной силы,
you have some diseases, you die.
подавит старость,
So if you don't have enough spiritual
болезни, то
power,
нужна просто помощь.
potency,
И если
you'll
он
be
что-то не
suppressed,
может,
of course.
не способен делать, если он
And
ментально
when you're not
слабый
able
человек,
physically to do
с
something,
управлением,
you're mentally
тогда милость
weak,
Вайшнавов,
then
то, что
it's
заботится,
just
и
the
Кришна
mercy of
помнит его
Vaishnavas.
служение, которое он делал.
And Krishna remembers his service as
Так
well.
тоже бывает.
It happens too.
Так бывает. Старость не шутка.
Old age is not an easy trick.
Будьте
It's not a
снисходительны.
joke.
А когда я еще был молодым, там у нас была одна женщина,
So when I was young,
самая старая в Ятре.
there was
Она дожила
some
до
woman.
90 лет потом.
She made it up
И
to
тогда уже ей
19
было
years of
много лет.
age.
Мы едем с ней в метро после программы.
So once we were
Она инициированная преданная, я еще нет.
in the subway after
Она
the
говорит,
program.
хочешь знать, что такое старость?
So she said, "Do you want to know what the old age is?"
Я говорю, да.
I was like,
Что
"Okay."
это такое? Она стала детальный рассказ, как она просыпается.
So she
что она
started
чувствует.
telling me
Вот
the
ты
way
как
she wakes up in the
засыпаешь
morning,
уставшим,
and then she says, "When you fall
Да.
asleep, when you're
сразу наступает
tired."
момент.
I said, "Yeah, yeah,
Просыпаешься
when I'm
отдохнувшим.
tired."
Ну да.
And then she says, "You wake up
В
feeling
старости,
well,"
как ты засыпаешь уставшим,
but she said, "You know what?
просыпаешься уставшим.
You fall asleep tired, being tired, and
И
then you
тебе
wake
еще
up being
труднее
tired as
встать.
well." and it's even harder for you to wake up in the morning.
Нужно просто вот размять суставы, там,
So
как-то
you
вот,
just gotta warm up your joints,
включиться вообще в какую-то
you know,
деятельность,
to turn your body on,
сообразить потом еще нужно время,
and then
что-то,
to understand what's
увидеть
happening,
что-то,
to see something.
услышать что-то,
to hear
нужно
something.
время.
It takes time.
Она мне рассказала, я поклялся не дожить до старости.
And then when she told me of these things, I
Ну, Кришна, услышь мои молитвы.
promised myself not
Не
to
хочу
make it up
пережить
until
старость.
not
Да
to
никто
make
не
it
хочет.
until I'm old.
А,
So no one wants to be old.
Веселый человек, смотрите.
He said that was really funny, wasn't it?
Если молодость как восклицательный знак, говорит, жизнь прекрасна, то старость как вопросительный знак. Почему жизнь так горька?
When you're young, it's like an exclamation mark. It's like, wow, life is so beautiful. When you're old, it's like a question mark. Like, why is life so
Период отречения
dramatic?
от тела. Пока вы, ну, в здравии,
So while you are
пожалуйста,
healthy,
Прабхупада говорит,
Prabhupada
распознайте
says,
дух и материю.
please
Не откладывайте.
differentiate matter from spirit. Do not put it away.
Итак, у нас есть какой-то особый акт. И вот тут у меня шафран, подождите.
So thank you very much for your lecture.
Девикина, напомни мне, пожалуйста, где этот преданный?